this first thing we'll talk about is sort of moving big groups, because really the Obama campaign was focused on moving the whole country. So at a minimum, we had information on every single voter in the country. That information was largely derived from something called a voter file. For those of you this is like a quick primer in how national elections work from the data side. A voter file, every time you vote, it's actually public record. Whom you vote for, no one knows. But the fact that you voted, and that's included in a primary. So your registration is also public. So maybe you're not registered as a Democrat, but you voted in a Democratic primary. Gotcha. You voted at all. Gotcha. So you can learn greater degrees, and that's a good example of learning more, knowing more or less about a person. But if this were the whole country, we knew if you guys had voted. We knew if you'd voted in primaries, your registration. And so that was sort of our starting point in terms of what we knew data-wise on people. The innovation of 2012 was not that we had lots of data, though. We had lots of data. 2008 was really the first time we mapped. We had all this data, and we actually started appending to it. If you guys are familiar with basic data structures, Excel, et cetera, we started appending. Imagine additional files coming on. Did you vote? Great. Did you vote in all 4 last elections? That means you're a 4 of 4 voter, which is like as good as it sounds. Maybe you skipped the off years. That's OK. But then you were still a presidential voter, so we were like, you're probably going to vote. We added other data things. We knew if you'd moved. We'd actually gone out and asked you, right? You guys got all those calls. Actually, in New York, you didn't get many calls at all because not a swing state, but especially in the most important battleground states, we'd ask tons of questions. So we'd call people, we'd email. We started learning all this information about people, and then a bunch of geniuses got together. People with PhDs, and as well as a healthy number of professional poker players. I kid you not. Yep, really don't play poker with them because they're, in any case.
I've been told many times I don't have a poker face, so I'm not going to try.
I don't have a poker game, so it could be
We're
worse.
a great team.
Yeah. So they basically were able to build a model that identified the key characteristics that would describe your propensity to vote at all, and whether or not you were supporting the president, right? And those are the 2 things we cared about. So we used all this data, built this great model, and had this huge operation doing so that consisted of everything, like I said, a literal room, or we called it a cave, full of geniuses, plus hundreds of thousands of volunteers across the country making phone calls, reaching out to people, and saying, hey, Julia, I know you're a 4-4 voter, right? I know you registered as a Democrat. And I know, we asked you in 2008 if you liked the president, and then you said yes, and you said you were going to vote for him. And we periodically ask you again, you still going to vote for him? You still going to vote for him? And you're like, yeah, stop asking me. Why do you keep asking me? So we had lots of information about people at the start. The big innovation in 2012 was that we were able to use that information across channels to have a really concerted effort to reach the people that mattered the most. In this case, swing voters in swing states.